Hello there, welcome to the Lakeside Gamer. In light of March Madness, which is right around the corner, let's see which of the games in my collection can survive a grueling tournament to be crowned the grand champion. 8 games in the tournament will be based on the rankings from the Board Game Geek website. The other 8 will be based on the all-time best-selling board games. While we can all argue about the imperfection of these rankings, the same can be said for the rankings for the college football tournament and the NCAA basketball tournament. I'll highlight the games and give some commentary on each one. Then we'll see the matchups, and at that point, it's up to you. After I post the video each week, I'll post polls on YouTube for you to vote and figure out the winner of the matchup. There will be 16 seeds, and these games that were on the bubble did not make the cut. This week is round 1. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to find out the results of each round and see the new matchups right away each week. Let's meet our contenders and then go vote for the winners. And we are off. Candyland comes in at number 16 as one of the top selling games of all time. Why? Because kids have to start somewhere, and a game themed on a sugar rush is sure to be a hit with the youngest children. This game is less about decisions than it is about matching the color on the card with the colors on the track, so it can be a good teaching tool for young children. But don't expect to get a lot of praise if you pull this one out at your next game night. Seven Wonders is an engine building game themed after the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Whichever wonder you play has different actions and attributes, playing out a little differently for each player. That being said, what really stands out about this game is the passing of the hands. After players play a card in their hand, they pass it on to the next person, so you cannot get a big sequence or run going based on what's in your hand. Instead, players need to make the best of what comes into their hand now, because after you play it, it's gone. The game for people who know stuff, Trivial Pursuit. This game can end very quickly for those who are knowledgeable about categories represented in the game, or it can last forever if you're not a trivia ace. There are many themed variants of this game. My personal favorites are the Lord of the Rings and Star Wars versions that have DVD questions included in the game from 20 years ago. The ultimate supply and demand game. Power Grid felt a little like Catan when it came out because the expansion of cities across the map was an economic engine builder. The twist in this game is that you have to not only build power plants to power all of the cities you build, and therefore earn money, but you have to pay for the resources to power them. Coal, oil, nuclear, and of course, garbage power plants litter the board, and the more resources are bought, the more expensive they become. In Battleship, you can either win or lose through sheer dumb luck, or you can use a system to guess where your opponent has hidden their 5 ships. I feel pretty good about my system, but I'm guessing others have better ones. My favorite version of this game was the one my grandparents had when I was growing up, Electronic Talking Battleship from 1989. After typing in the coordinates and hearing the bombs fly, it was so satisfying to hear the explosion on the hits. Regular visitors to our channel know that I absolutely love Hegemony. It beautifully takes mundane concepts of class and government and turns the game into an interactive adventure to jostle with others for an advantage. Not everyone has the 4 to 6 hours required to play this game fully, but I thoroughly enjoy the game every time I play. The popular Whodunit Clue is a fun murder mystery that also has some strategy in figuring out the most efficient route to narrow the suspect, weapon, and room where the crime occurred. Though one would think the room would be pretty obvious, but I digress. Pay attention to what your opponents do, particularly when they don't have cards to pass. Wingspan is an excellent game to play with a group of people that has board game players and players who aren't really interested in games. Why? Because the engine building aspect of the game creates a lot of potential routes to create cool point building mechanics for the gamer, and all of the pretty bird art and facts will satisfy the non-gamer even while they play a game that isn't too hard. Scrabble at its core is a game of words and crosswords. Where it becomes fun is finding out where on the board you can intersect multiple words to get a plethora of points at a time. The game's so big it has its own dictionary. If you get into this game, you will learn every word that has a Z, X, Q, and J, as well as every obscure 2-letter word in existence. Root is an asymmetric game where each faction plays differently from one another, and a fun aspect is that each expansion has even more factions that play differently from one another, so there are a ton of different combinations to mix and match when playing the game. For those who don't really get into games, the animals in the forest are really cute, and the art on the board and the cards are top-notch. The original economic board game from the Great Depression, Monopoly allowed people to dream big about building a real estate empire. The only problem was that the zero-sum game didn't really reflect the reality that different businesses need one another to thrive. This probably makes sense, as the business empires of Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Morgan were not that old at the time, But time has shown that this game is more about making a winner than reflecting reality. Also, the way to win is to make others lose and go bankrupt. So the most people that will walk away from this game happy is 1. Scythe is quite an interesting game because it is hard to tell at times whether it's a war game, a political game, or an economic game. The answer is all of the above and more as players race to complete different tasks to get victory points to win the game. Another aspect of this game I enjoy is the upgrades. Making upgrades to get more resources while making the stuff you buy cheaper is a feel-good mechanic, as is the victory points, making it that while most players will lose the game, they will have a sense that they accomplished something while playing. Checkers is popular because it is simple. For a game that is simple, if people get good at it, get ready for a stalemate. The best checkers players will set up situations where their opponent is forced into moving a piece into its own destruction. Similar to Candyland, young kids can start playing games with this one. Twilight Struggle is the ultimate Cold War strategy game. History nerds love that this game represents the theme of the Cold War, cards based on people and events of the Cold War, the space race, coups, realignments, and the prospect of nuclear war ending the world and therefore the game at any time. I love that this game has a CIA KGB flair as players watch the actions of their opponents and guess their intentions, rightly or wrongly, and respond accordingly. A deep game in terms of strategy, it's not overly difficult to learn. The highest selling game on this list is also the oldest game on this list, chess. The goal is to try to capture the king by taking away his ability to move. Chess takes a little time to learn in terms of gameplay, but its mechanics are not too difficult. Even so, it is a difficult game to master. Many chess players claim this game alone, instead of calling themselves gamers or board game players. The top seed in our tournament is the highest ranked game that I own in the Board Game Geek Top 100, War of the Ring. The epic tale of the Fellowship of the Ring in board game form, War of the Ring takes the politics and war of Middle-earth and allows players to decide whether they want to win the conventional war on the board or destroy the One Ring at Mount Doom to win this game. A brilliant game regardless whether you like orcs, elves, goblins, and dwarves, or you roll your eyes at the fantasy genre. Now that we've met the contenders, let's look at the matchups. Our first matchup is War of the Ring versus Candyland. Can the kids game take out the epic war on Middle-earth? We'll see. Second matchup is going to be Chess versus Seven Wonders, the classic strategy game against the hand-passing game as well. Third will be Twilight Struggle versus Trivial Pursuit, Cold War, or Straight Facts. We'll see. Matchup 4, Checkers versus Power Grid. Simple game where you take out your opponent or building your empire of power plants. Fifth matchup is Scythe versus Battleship. So are we going to try to score a bunch of points here and do politics or knock out your enemy's ships? Sixth is Monopoly versus Hegemony, a classic matchup of economic games. Let's see who wins. Root versus Clue. So our cute critters out in the forest are our asymmetric game there against the whodunit Clue. Finally, our last matchup will be Scrabble and Wingspan, our word game versus our engine building bird game. So these are the matchups. So good luck out there. Remember, you can vote for these on the Lakeside Gamers 5 channel and go to the polls that you find there. I'll also be posting them around and you can vote for those, and we'll see after about a week where the polls end and what the scores will be. And then I will take those numbers and we'll move to round 2 in a couple of weeks. Like and subscribe if you want to see the upcoming videos with those polls, and we'll see you soon. Good luck out there.